we should basically be able to offer any AM station a package called like Bread TV. Yeah. And Bread TV would be run by representatives of whatever, and then they would basically, it would be a 24-hour show, and they would feed it a lot of reruns, but then there would be like daily shows and stuff like that. So just saying, it's possible. And the thing is like, why did we all grow? I mean, why did Kali and I grow up hearing Rush Limbaugh all the time, you know, conservative news host? Well, because there was a lot of money behind him, a lot of big oil, a lot of political interests, military, etc., that wanted to make sure that the working class, especially people who had a lot of time to think, people who are driving long distances specifically, will get really entrenched in a very simplistic way of framing everything. And they made it happen, and they did that. And if you drive long distances and you're not able to get your LTE or 3G or whatever it is as you're going places, because, you know, you lose service as you go. And this just happened to me recently. I started, you know, skimming the AM radios, and the first thing that comes on is Glenn Beck. And Glenn Beck is another conservative talk host. And besides, it's like Glenn Beck, Rush Limbaugh, Laura Lessinger. She like gives people terrible relationship advice a lot of the time. Very stupid religious. Anyway, I'm just saying that AM is dominated by that right now, and there's hardly liberal alternatives there. There's not like a leftist presence. So it basically what Rush Limbaugh has is like a license package, like whatever AM radio stations can pay a certain amount, or, you know, his big funders pay the stations to play it, either way. And so I don't know, someone needs to head that up, but the Bread TV version. So anybody who wants to make that happen, you'll have all of my support. I mean, honestly, it would just expand the platforms of all of these people who are already independent enough through Patreon and stuff like that. So people who are already putting out all this content, they just reach more people. So I think everyone would be down with it. Dangerous maybe. I like that idea. Steve, totally. There's not much money in AM radio anymore. I think it'd be an easy sell to offer content. I really think it would. Especially if we took a lot of calls from angry people, you know, that there was different day shows that like take calls from these, you know, through the AM channels. That'd be so cool. Something like how NPR just airs the BBC World Service in the middle of the night. Says, yeah, exactly. Wow, really? Anarchist Tech Support says it would take like 10 radio towers at night could make it continental, but overnight. AM radio is an easier transmitter to set up, and a clear night could get one strong transmitter covering a large portion of the US. Hence, the FCC licensing is awkward as hell. Truck drivers and rural farmers need a voice talking about workers' needs. You know, that's exactly right. And honestly, I think that it should just be Beau. We should just be Beau from the Fifth Column. 24 hours repeat of the same playlist. Just
we just need exactly. Just Beau, hire him. He just gets set up and all of his things just stream onto like a YouTube channel and TV station and a podcast and a radio station that's just running all the time.
Yeah.
We're just over here, we're like feeding him. We can just play pre-recorded things when he's sleeping. We all take care of him, and that's just his job.
Everyone's like, Beau, get a damn station. So I did a little research on it, and where I'm at right now is that I'll just say it's not easy. Setting up your own radio station for like an area. Imagine that you wanted to catch the traffic going, you know, in the Bay Area going into San Francisco. Okay, if you wanted all those cars in traffic to have the option of listening to your content, you can actually go through the process of getting federal licensing, and they can deny you, but you can appeal it, and you can find out what they require. And there are ways of making it happen. There are things you have to do, like you have to make sure that there's space for it and stuff like that, and you can't, you know, interfere with other people's signals and things like that. So it might cost a couple $1,000s. You might need to crowdfund it. So that's something that's awesome, that someone who's like technically inclined would definitely be able to do, especially someone who's paperwork inclined. But the bigger thing, like putting together the licensing package that you would then like sell to radio stations, that's like its whole other thing. So I mean, to me, okay, for some people that this isn't like, they don't really, maybe some people won't see the value of this, but it really shapes the backbone. The truck drivers are the backbone of our society. They are the ones who see this country on a daily basis, and they're all attached to families. And so every one of those families, of every one of these truck drivers, it's not just truck drivers, I'm using them as an example, but like, you know, every person who is around someone who spends all their time listening to AM radio, that person's entire consciousness is framed by that radio. And then that person, their whole way of responding to and talking about current events shapes the dynamics of the communities that they are in. So a lot of the problems in our country like can be traced to the way that the right in this country decided to dominate the airwaves and how they won at doing that. All young people should be equal before culture. The state should not be financing out of everybody's money the education even of mediocre and gormless children of wealthy parents, while it excludes the able and intelligent children of the working class. This is just the first quote by Antonio Gramsci. I'm going to share a second one here in a second. Both of these I feel are a good follow-up to a conversation on mass media, propaganda, education, reaching the working class, educating people about those things that are in their best interests, when obviously we have the Rush Limbaughs of the world being funded by people who aren't at all interested in what is in the interest of everybody, but are specifically only interested in their private profit, the profit that they're going to make at the expense of the planet and the majority of human beings living on that planet. He says, and this is in a response, I think, to the types of political activists who don't think culture is as important as policy. He says, the bayonets of Napoleon's armies found their road already smoothed by an invisible army of books and pamphlets that had swarmed out of Paris from the first half of the 18th century and had prepared both men and institutions for the necessary renewal. Later, after the French events had welded a unified consciousness, a demonstration in Paris was enough to provoke similar to services in Milan, Vienna, and the smaller centers. All of this seems natural and spontaneous to superficial observers, yet it would have been incomprehensible if we were not aware of the cultural factors that helped to create a state of mental preparedness for those explosions in the name of what was seen as a common cause. Basically, revolutionary moments don't just come because there's not bread on the store shelves. That's usually like the trigger point. But up to that point, and the direction that society goes when it erupts, is decided by the discourse that comes beforehand, by the mass media, and the propaganda war that's always going on. Well, that's what Gramsci thinks, and I think he's probably pretty right. And if you are like me and enjoy consuming this kind of content on YouTube or other places, realize that if it is just reaching you and ending there, then this is really just about your cultivated identity. What really matters is that you and every person it reaches is learning ways of integrating it into their own lives. It has to be about everybody learning how to talk about these pressing issues that jeopardize the future of our planet and exploit the majority of the people on this planet. So I just thought that I would use this awesome opportunity. I had access to this green room, and I don't normally have access to it anymore now that I've graduated, and so because I had access to it, I thought that'd be really fun because I'm visiting in my hometown. So hometown, I guess it's more like my college town, but you know. Anyway, hope you all have a good rest of your week. Normally I put out a longer form video later in the week. This week could be a little complicated because I'm traveling, but I'm really excited about the next one that I will be sharing. So stay tuned. Take care. Peace.